Thank you, friends. Just another gentle reminder, if anybody has a cell phone, to please take a moment, turn it on silent. Officiating our service today is Rabbi Barry Axler. The rabbi will now approach the family to perform the ancient act of Kriya.
Our Jewish funeral service begins with the Kriya, or the tearing of the clothing, or the black ribbon. It's a custom that dates back to two biblical moments. First, when Jacob saw what he thought was the blood of Joseph on his coat of many colors, the Torah says that he tore his clothes. And then many years later, when King David learned that his eldest son Avshalom had been killed, in his grief he fell to the floor and also tore his clothes. So this expression of tearing has been part of our Jewish funeral service now for over 3,000 years. And the external tearing has come to symbolize the broken fabric and the broken hearts in our lives. Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who is the one judge of all truth. It's the measure of a woman. And not how did she die, but how did she live? And not what did she gain, but what did she give? These are the units to measure the worth of a woman as a woman, regardless of her birth. Not what was her station, but had she a heart? And how did she play her God-given part? Was she ever ready with a word of good cheer to bring back a smile or banish a tear? Not what was her shrine, nor what was her creed, but had she befriended those really in need? And not what did the sketch in the newspaper say, but how many were sorry when she passed away. She is gone, and you can shed tears that she is gone, or you can smile because she has lived. You can close your eyes and pray that she will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that she has left. Your heart can be empty because you can't see her, or you can be full of the love that you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember her, and only that she is gone, or you can cherish her memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind and be empty and turn your back, or you could do what she would want, smile, open your eyes, love, and go on. At times like this, words fail us. And so we turn to our Psalms, and please join me if you can in your booklets in the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. For his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anoints my head with oil, and my cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. A life well lived cannot be diminished by death. The beauty, the guidance, and the inspiration it gave us will shine on as brightly as ever. Death leaves a heartache no one can heal, but life leaves a memory no one can steal. There's a beautiful line in the play Wicked that I think describes, sums up perhaps, how we're feeling today about Michelle. I know we are who we are today because we knew you. And because we knew you, we are changed forever. In describing the passing of our first matriarch, Sarah, our Bible says that Sarah lived to be 127 years old. And what the Bible doesn't say is that Sarah died at 127, but Sarah lived to be 127, underscoring that what is most important in life is how we live and not how we die. Michal bat Yaakov and Sarah, Michelle, lived a wonderful life of love for her husband, Rabbi Chuck, a life of love for her children, David and Judy and Robert and Julie, a life of love for her grandchildren, Eve and Kyle and Sarah Brina and Yaakov Yitzchak, a life of love for her brother Charles, a life of love for her extended family and her many friends. Michelle was a devoted congregant at Lincolnwood Place, someone who I grew to adore and love. Our tradition teaches us that when we pass on, we leave behind only two things. And they are two Hebrew words that not only sound alike, but they come from the same root. One is Yerusha, and the other is Morasha. Now, Yerusha are your material assets. They're your bank accounts, or your real estate holdings, or your stocks and bonds. But Morasha is the essence of who you are the characteristics about yourself that you leave behind for family and friends who love you and who will miss you. I don't know, nor do I care to know, what Michelle's Yerusha was. But I can tell you what her Morasha was. It was an unconditional love for her family. It was a reaching out and caring for others. And it was a real zest for life. You know, we're all familiar with the very first words in the Torah. And let there be light. And there was light. But it wasn't until day 4 that God creates the sun and the moon. So if God creates the sun and the moon on day 4, what was this light that the Bible was talking about in the first sentences? So I believe that light was the light of God. And since the world wasn't complete, God put that light into each and every one of us. And when we lead good lives, and when we care for others, that light shines forth and makes this world better. Every single person here knew that Michelle had that light. And when it shone forth and hit you, it inspired you to do better and to be better. You know, on the drive up from the city today, 2 songs came over the radio that struck me very deeply for this service today. The first was a hit song by James Taylor, "How Sweet It Is to Being Loved by You." How sweet it was for all of us to being loved by Michelle. And the second was a 1960s hit song written by Burt Bacharach and Hal David and sung by Dionne Warwick. Always something there to remind me. Each of us will always have something special there to remind us of Michelle. For as the song concluded, "For how can I forget you when there is always something there to remind me? I was born to love you, and I will never be free because you'll always be a part of me. I'd like to share with you a very personal and a very special poem whose message I know Michelle would have embraced. It's entitled, If I Knew. If I knew it would be the last time that I'd see you fall asleep, I would tuck you in more tightly, and I'd pray the Lord your soul to keep. If I knew it would be the last time that I'd see you walk out the door, I'd give you a hug and a kiss, and I'd call you back for one more. If I knew it would be the last time I'd hear your voice lifted up in praise, I would videotape each action and word so I could play them back day after day. If I knew it would be the last time I would be there to share your day, I would not say, you'll have so many more that I can let just this one slip away. I would not think that there's always tomorrow to make up for an oversight and that we always get a second chance to make everything just right. So just in case today is all I get, I'd like to say how much I love you, and I hope that we never forget that tomorrow is not promised to anyone, young or old alike, and today may be the last chance that you get to hold your loved one tight. So if you're waiting for tomorrow, why not do it today? For if tomorrow never comes, you'll surely regret the day that you didn't take the extra time for a smile, a hug, or a kiss, and you were too busy to grant someone what turned out to be their one last wish. So hold your loved ones close today and whisper in their ear and tell them how much you love them and that you'll always hold them dear. And take time to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, or it's okay. And if tomorrow never comes, you'll have no regrets about today. May the happy memories that you shared with Michelle throughout her life be the way that you remember her. May these memories keep you smiling, and may time heal your sadness. In your family and your friends, may you find love, and in your hearts may you find the strength to help you through this very difficult time. So may the memory of Michal Bat Yaakov Visara always be a blessing to you. May it inspire you to do better and to be better. And in her honor, may God grant you comfort and peace in this very difficult time. Amen. I understand now we have a recording from Yaakov Yitzchak from Israel.
Thinking about Savta and her full, productive life, a few things come to mind, which I think all stem from the same source, the same character trait. That Savta was always focused on other people, always focused on what she could do for others, to give to others. This came out in many ways. She was always positive. Whenever we would see her, she always had nice comments to make about us, about our homes, about everything. She was always upbeat. Even when she was sick, she didn't become an unpleasant complainer. She was always positive. Whenever we called her, she had nice things to say. She'd always say, thank you so much for calling. I love hearing from you. She was extraordinarily devoted to family. She always slept up to Milwaukee, the drop of a hat, to come visit us. She was always making us cards and giving us gifts. She used to make her grandchildren homemade birthday cards. Those cards are not just a testament to her artistic talent, which is certainly true, but they're a testament to her thoughtfulness. She took time from her busy schedule to do something that would make her grandchildren feel special, feel thought of, loved, appreciated. It wasn't just family. When Saba was the rabbi of the Joliet Jewish congregation, Saba kept quite busy with community things. She was not young, but nevertheless found the time and the energy to start and run a vibrant Sunday school, to organize get-togethers, lunch and learns, spend time visiting people and befriending them. Savta was never idle. She was always doing things, not for herself, but for others. She was always focused her whole life on what she could do to help people, to give to people. The Talmud comments that the Chumash begins with kindness, with God giving to Adam and Eve, and ends with kindness, with God burying Moses, to teach us that this is the bottom line. We're here not for ourselves, but to give to others. Savta truly exemplified this trait. May your memory be blessed.
Nice. It's now my honor to call upon granddaughter Sarah Brina, who has some memories to share with us.
Everyone needs a cheerleader. Savta was all of ours. No matter what career you chose, or opinion you had, or life path you were on, she thought you hung the moon. Whether you were a grandchild, or a daughter-in-law, or a son, she made sure that we all knew that we were the center of her world. Cards that she sent would arrive personalized with underlines and exclamation points, so she could highlight just how amazing a grandchild you really were, or just how happy a birthday she wanted you to have, or just how blessed a mother-in-law she considered herself to be. She would happily describe her many creative, if eccentric, budgeting ideas so that she could be unendingly generous with the people that she loved and the causes that she cared about. To look at Savta's warm smile and to feel her hugs, you'd never know what she experienced during the war. You'd never know that the early formative years of her life were spent in hiding as her father fought in a resistance army against the Nazis. You'd never know that she must have had to plumb the depths of her soul to find her unending joy and strength and hope and faith. But find them she did. And it's because of her courage and her perseverance that we're all here today. In her quiet and unassuming and loving way, she carved a path that generations of our family will follow. Like the true cheerleader she was, she rarely took the spotlight. But we all know the truth, that the beautiful lives that we've built and that all the generations that will come after us are a credit to her legacy. When someone passes away, we often say, may their memory be a blessing. Savta's memory will not only be a blessing, it will be a bright spark of light that lives inside each of us, guiding us and encouraging us to be the tireless cheerleaders of the ones that we love. I love you, Savta.
Very powerful. And now son Robert has some special thoughts to share with us.
One of the things I loved about my mother was that she indulged my love of discussing existential questions. Why did God harden Pharaoh's heart anyway? Is evolution really true? Why do bad things happen to good people? Why are we even here? One of the last times I saw her, just a couple weeks ago, I told or reminded her that she was about to embark on a journey. Jewish tradition teaches that if you gather provisions for an ocean voyage, you will have what to eat on your ocean voyage. And conversely, if you don't gather provisions for an ocean voyage, you will not have anything to eat on your ocean voyage. Now, I'm very thankful for living in modern-day America, where everything is available. In fact, I frequently admonished my wife as she packed for a trip, you don't need to worry about bringing that. We live in America. If you need it, you just go out and buy it. But the truth is that not all trips have such ready access to needed amenities. The trip on which my mother is embarking is one of them. And when I told or reminded her of this, she said, I'm not ready. Now, on the one hand, that's understandable. We all want more time. But for my mother, it was different. Jewish tradition also says that time is short. And our mother lived that. She lived that time was short. There's a picture of my parents and their friends sitting around a table and a puzzle in Cancun. The funniest thing to me about that picture was that she was on vacation. Must have taken an act of Congress. Vacation just for me, for us, without any of my scrapbooking supplies to make cards for people, without any flour and sugar to make hamantashen and honey cakes to deliver, without shut-ins to visit. This may sound strange, but one of the hardest things to believe about this funeral is that my mother is not sitting out there, but rather is lying here. How's that possible? She was the Energizer Bunny. She was unstoppable. But that is the reason. After the Chevra Kadisha asks for mechila, for forgiveness, they request of the person that they be a good debater, a good advocate on high. Now, as we all know, things have been getting sort of iffy down here. It seemed when I was young that things would just continue to improve and improve. Now, not so much. Now, if there was anyone who would be an unstoppable advocate for her family and Gans Kal Yisrael, it was my mother. I love you, Liam. I'm sorry if I did not always show you the respect you deserved. Be a good debater.
Now, son David.
Oh, there's a little clock here. So settle in a little bit. Yaakov and Sarah Brenna, I thought I really captured a lot of things about my mom, but those guys captured some more. And then the goofball managed to find some more things. So thank you for that. My mom has a remarkable immigrant story. Thriving, then hiding in France, and then thriving again in Rock Island, Illinois. Michelle Trop was born in Orléans, France on June 2nd, 1938. Along with her mother and brother, she survived World War II, hiding on a Catholic family's farm outside of their small town, while her father fought in the French resistance. After the war, Michelle and her immediate family returned to their own house for a few years, and in 1950, after her young sister was born, the family was sponsored by relatives and immigrated to Rock Island, Illinois. There, her parents went to work, and my mom and her siblings went to school. She learned English quickly, and almost as quickly met her future husband, Charles, in Hebrew school. After graduating from high school, my mom attended the University of Illinois, then left to marry Chuck in 1959. They started married life in El Paso, Texas, where my dad served in the U.S. Army, and after discharge, they moved back to Rock Island and started a family, raising my brother and me. Mom loved Rock Island and the entire Quad City area, especially the small but vibrant Jewish community that was there. She was active in all things synagogue, sisterhood, Hadassah, teaching Sunday school, being a day camp counselor, Israeli dancing, and along with observing Shabbat and holidays. Professionally, my mom worked as a copywriter, bank branch manager, and librarian. She cherished her work along with cherishing her coworkers and customers. She worked hard and loved to contribute to her community and family. She thrived on working hard and providing excellent customer service to whomever walked in. Strangers were soon friends, regulars were close friends. She managed and raised Robert and I with love, affection, and certainty. She was certain of what they needed to do, what we needed to do, to be successful, and saw to it that they understood that as well. She adored my dad as a husband for 65 years, supporting and occasionally cajoling him in his retail career and later as a pulpit rabbi. It was as a Rebbitzin that my mom brought all of her skills and passions together. She loved that role, and it loved her. My mom was an exceptionally proud Jew. Her parents and her extended family in France and Poland were also proud Jews, and while they suffered and mostly did not survive greatly because of being Jewish in Europe, Michelle and her immediate family wore their pride openly in Rock Island. For my mom, pride in being Jewish meant the following: loving and keeping all things containing any Hebrew letters or the semblance of a Hebrew letter, or anything that was blue or white in color. There are bags and boxes of these artifacts all over the place. Mom also believed that Israel was simply a miracle worth celebrating frequently. In her later years, she tempered her love with a healthy dose of skepticism for the Israeli government, but Israel she loved. But she really loved her synagogue, or any synagogue. She loved Jewish services, good rabbinic sermons. She loved klezmer music, dancing, and singing. And alongside being a proud Jew, my mom was a very proud worker. She was a very hard worker. The Protestant work ethic should have been named the Michelle work ethic. She taught me the importance or the necessity of working hard. She worked early and late for a paycheck and then hustled through the rest of her day doing whatever else was necessary to get things done at home, with her boys, at her boys' schools, for my dad, for her friends and acquaintances, and on and on. For the most part, all of that was done with a smile, or at least with a, "It would be my greatest pleasure if I could," so that at the end of that, you really believe that she wanted to repot some plants, bake a pie, or babysit a bird. For my mom, it was everything, everywhere, all the time. She devoured tasks, and they truly made her happy. So let's talk about a few things she didn't like. She did not like dust or dirt inside the house. Big no bueno. She knew from the next room if my brother or I dropped a crumb. She did not like leading or speaking publicly, but she was a very necessary condition for many others to do so, including you. While she liked to rake leaves and mow the yard and shovel, truly, she did not like starting the mower, moving the mower from the garage, or disposing of the leaves, or dealing with snowdrifts. She loved the beach and the pool deck. She did not like water or swimming. She did not like driving on the highway. She did not like specific former presidents. But here's some more things she did like. Family and family friends. Old, young, new, and long time, playing mahjong, baking, eating, seeing a show, talking, so much talking. She loved my dad, 65 years after a middle school Hebrew school of going steady. A real partnership of meaning and living. Thank you, Rabbi, for the living part. She also loved my friends and my brother's friends. She loved my in-laws and my brother's in-laws. She loved my friends' in-laws. She loved my friends' in-laws' friends. She loved Nuka the First, Sean, Nuka the Second, and Zeke. She loved Judy, and she loved Julie. You were her daughters, you were never her daughters-in-law. And she loved her grandchildren. You were the very best. She also loved Tom Selleck. She loved the entire Law and Order franchise. She loved picnics of any kind, sukkahs, and parks specifically, but again, all the dirt must be outside. She loved car vacations, but not driving. They could be cross-country or regional, amusement parks or national parks, that didn't matter. She loved teddy bears, candle stores, and tchotchke stores. 3 big things from my mom. She and my dad were so very, very rich because of who they were. They taught us, Robert and I, and the rest, many lessons about this, almost all by example, not lectures. She loved everything she had and never wanted anything she didn't have. And she loved to share what she had with anyone who needed anything. 2, you must vote. She reminded Judy and me, directly about this 1 week ago. Please see me later if you'd like her very short but specific instructions. And 3, do not delay doing what needs to be done. Do the things you can each day as you can. Do them well. Smile and be proud of who you are and what you've done.
David, she also enjoyed sardines from Portugal, which Maureen and I brought her back. And you were right. Your wives were daughters in love and not in law. As I listened to everyone, David, Robert, Serebrina, Yitzchak, Yaakov, I don't know how many of you have seen the play Hamilton, but if you have, you know one of the themes of Hamilton is how to pass on your legacy. And there's a verse that goes through the entire play from beginning to end. Who lives, who dies, who will tell your story? Who will keep your flame, and who will remember your name? You will tell her story. You will keep her flame alive, and you will always remember her name. I would ask the family to please rise. El Mole Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hamatzei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei HaShechina, B'ma'alot Kedoshim U'Tohorim, Gezoar Horakia Mashirim Et Nishmat, Michal Bat Yaakov V'Sara, Shalachali Olamo. B'Gan Eden Tehei Menuchato, Ana Bal Horachamim Hastireha B'Seter Kenafecha Liolamim. Utzror B'Tzror Achayim Et Nishmata, Adonai Hu Nachalata B'Tanuach B'Shalom HaMishkava V'Namar Amen. El Mole Rachamim, O exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of Michelle Rubovits, who has gone unto her eternal home. O merciful one, we ask that she find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. And you may be seated. And I'd like to take a little rabbinic privilege. Kaddish is generally said at the graveside, but since most of us will not be going to Milwaukee, I thought it would be appropriate if we said Kaddish here as well. Now, the origins of our mourner's prayer, which is called Kaddish and means holiness, are very mysterious. Angels are said to have brought it down from heaven. It's the only prayer in our faith that has the power to link the living and the dead. But interestingly enough, if you were to look at the English translation of our mourner's prayer, you'll find there is absolutely no mention of death in it. Therefore, it causes us to focus on the blessings of life. And Michal Bat Yaakov's sorrow was certainly a blessing in our lives. So I would ask everyone to please rise, and on the back of your program books to please join with me in our traditional mourner's prayer, the Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, B'yolmad divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayichon u'b'yomeichon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala u'b'zman koriv v'yamru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Leolam Olamei Almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei Dekudisha B'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran b'yolma v'imru Amen. Yehei Shalom Rabbah min Shemaya V'chayim oleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom oleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May the good Lord who makes peace in the high heavens grant peace and comfort to all of us who remember and who mourn Michelle. And together let us say, Amen.
Friends, this concludes our service here at the chapel. Interment will take place at the family plot in Milwaukee at Beth Medrash Haggadah Cemetery. There won't be a formal procession. However, those who wish to go, certainly make sure you abide by all the safety rules of the road and get there safely. The time is now approximately 11:45. About 1:30 or maybe a little after 1:30, we'll be having our burial service at the cemetery. Shiva will take place tomorrow evening at Lincolnwood Place on the second floor from 7 to 8:30. Memorial contributions can be made to the Jewish United Fund. Both those information for memorial contributions and Shiva can be found in the service folder that you received on the way in. If you did not receive them, they're available on the way out. And for those who are watching online, that information is available on the funeral home website. The following individuals have been honored to serve as pallbearers. When I call your name, if you could please stand next to Mrs. Rubovits' casket. Kyle Rubovits, Eve Rubovits, Sabrina Rubovits, Boaz Ettinger, Lawrence Lubliner, and Scott Hurwitz. At this time, I'd have everyone, if they could please rise as we escort the casket of Mrs. Rubovits, as well as the family from the chapel.